Hi, my name is Joy, and this is Pilates Perspectives. Today we have Tonya Amos, who will be talking to us about her experience bringing Pilates to underrepresented communities. But before we get started, let's take a moment to check in. So far, when we check in, sometimes we talk about breath or we talk about senses. We have Tonya Amos with us today, and Tonya is someone who just has this tremendous heart, and she leads with this heart, and she walks into underrepresented communities, and she brings Pilates with just sheer joy. So today when we check in, let's actually check in on heart. Now, in sort of Middle English or Old Latin, core actually is your heart, and your core we think of as your sort of abdominal center, but no. Your core is really your heart. The core of your being is your heart. So I want you to just take a second, close your eyes, practice some of the breathing we've practiced in the past. 4 counts in and 4 or 5 counts out. And do that a couple of times as you're just thinking about your heart's desire. And by that, I mean your deepest personal hopes for yourself. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself growing into? Who do you want to become? And can that come from a heart space? Can we have businesses? Pilates businesses tend to be heart-led businesses. And can you have good business and a big heart? I think you can. Now, can you take that heart's desire and can you now look at it through the lens of people around you, people who you might want to lift up? Do you have a family member who is suffering from some form of an illness or a disease where movement in their life could be helpful and empowering? Someone who maybe financially can't come to your studio, but who could benefit from their presence there? Are there ways in which, through movement, you can engage with your community? And is there a way in which that engagement with your community actually can help you meet your heart's desire and provide you with even greater satisfaction? Just think about those things as we enter into this conversation with Tonya Amos. She's a community organizer, an artist, and a movement professional. She's also the founder of Grown Women Dance Collective and owner of the Pilates Aspire Center. If you would like to support Tonya's work to uplift local communities, you can donate to the Grown Women Dance Collective at grownwomendance.org. Quick note before we dive in, you may notice that the audio in this episode sounds a bit softer than usual. That's because during recording, we were wearing masks to protect Tonya's health. Thank you for understanding and enjoy this important conversation. We're here with Tonya Amos. And Tonya, we've just been talking about actually all of her work really with movement and social justice, right? And she's an extraordinary human who really sees the world through the lens of how can we do better? Like every time I talk to Tonya, I always want to do better. She makes me want to be better. Tonya, if I said you're a movement activist, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I always tell people that I do arts and wellness for social justice. And so that's arts. I'm a grown-up retired dancer, so that's movement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Pilates person, that's movement. So I think that's perfect. Movement for social justice. I love it.
Movement for social justice.
Yeah.
What are some of the ways in which you use movement to provide a safe space for underrepresented communities?
So I started an organization called Grown Women Dance Collective, and we use arts and wellness for social justice.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 pillars that are very distinct, but they're all about Black liberation. They're all about empowering and uplifting community. So one of those pillars is world-class dance concerts and choreography to shift the narrative on social justice issues. So we've done pieces on mass incarceration. We've done a Dance the Vote campaign where we helped mobilize 261,000 potential voters.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that insane? We're in the middle of a long COVID piece to educate the community that long COVID is really, really bad news and is still with us. We have a piece on homelessness that we partnered with organizations to educate and mobilize around homelessness. So we're using our art to actually shift the narrative on important societal issues and hopefully make some kind of change. And then our second pillar is we have free arts and wellness classes. So that can look like Pilates for back and joint pain. That can look like fall prevention and pain reduction for elders. That can look like pre and postnatal work. We work doing Black maternal health work. That could be dance for literacy, right? So anything that falls under movement that we're good at, we find a way to integrate that into community, to use ways to empower. And then our last piece, which we're really excited about with this deep, meaningful partnership with Balanced Body, is our workforce development programs. So we have the Joyful Movement Whole Life Program and the Community Expansion Scholarship Program, where we are scholarshiping, mentoring, training, helping empower. As of now, we have over 230 Black and Brown students.
Fantastic.
Nationally and in 12 countries, and all of them are doing community impact work.
And what is the community impact work?
So all of the students, they're getting this incredible Balanced Body education.
So they're getting the Balanced Body Pilates education. Yeah.
And then my local students also get financial empowerment classes. They get unlimited mental health counseling services with a Black female psychiatrist.
Fantastic.
They get nutrition classes. They get plant-based cooking classes. They get dance for literacy because we go into the libraries and teach literacy through movement. And then those students all go back into our communities and do 200 paid internship hours where they're doing Pilates and arts-based work in our communities with folks that don't normally have access. So the Community Expansion Scholarship Program, those students also are going back into the communities. And last year, our students did 22,000 classes nationally and internationally.
That's fantastic. So one of the things that I think is just so important and impactful and for everybody to understand is you're training Pilates instructors that come to the scholarship program, but they're going back into their own communities to teach.
Exactly.
So they're empowering others through movement and teaching, right?
Absolutely.
That's just starts a beautiful cycle.
Exactly.
Right? That utilizes movement as a form of empowerment, of self-expression, of self-understanding.
Exactly.
Where did the idea come from? I mean, you've been talking about this a long time. I've known you a long time. You and I got stuck, remember, in the Austin airport when I lost my wallet. We walked around and you, this is like in your DNA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I opened my studio in 2006 and I made a commitment to myself that no matter what I was doing, I would always go back into the community to do community impact work. It's really easy to get overwhelmed, exhausted. I don't know how to do that. We've got time constraints. And it's easy to say, well, when I get on my feet, I'm going to go back to the community. I'm going to do volunteer work. And what I did is I integrated that into my practice. So from my very first quarter that I was open, I donated an 8-week workshop to a community group.
Right.
And I made a point to every single quarter to donate to an organization.
Right. So you integrated that literally into your business
from
practice.
From the beginning. And then over time, my studio became a haven for people that are often overlooked. So very often in the Pilates community can be exclusionary. It can be very pulled together and very, I'm trying to be polite here, very pulled together and very glamorous.
Glamorous.
And they're people, the majority of the people on the planet are not pulled together and glamorous,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
very often it's intimidating for them to walk into a Pilates studio, or they're not treated well in a Pilates studio. So somehow my studio, we called it the island of misfit toys. People would end up in our studio that kind of didn't feel safe anywhere else. And this community grew. And part of this were somehow all of the Black and brown folks in Contra Costa would somehow end up in our space. And young people would show up and say, "Can I take a nap?" And I'd say, "Yeah, go take a nap in Princess Tiana's room." "Hey, Miss Tonya, what's that green
So
stuff
people
you're
just
eating?"
are like, they're just literally walking in
Yeah.
off the streets.
Yeah.
Maybe nothing to do with Pilates,
Yeah.
but they know
Well, they
if
had
I come in
heard.
here, I'm safe.
Right. And
Yeah.
they'd heard, there's like, Miss Tanya's really nice, and she'll let me do my homework here.
Right.
She'll let me take a nap before I have to go back and do whatever I have to do with life. And then they'd say, "What's that green stuff you're eating?" I'd say, "That's broccoli." And they're like, "What's that taste like?" And I'm like, "You want to taste
I
it?"
used to call it spinach on the trees when I
There
was a
you
kid.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, next thing you know, this young person is eating broccoli, and now their parents are eating broccoli, and their grandparents are eating broccoli. So we'd start to see these shifts happen.
Yeah, but Tonya, so where's your,
Yeah.
so say again where your studio is?
So we started
Or where
out
it was.
in Concord,
Right.
which is not a very diverse place. And so it was kind of a Robin Hood model. During the day, I would work with what we call traditional Pilates clients. And I'd have my mask on firmly in place and tried my best not for it to slide down my face.
Not your COVID mask.
Not my COVID mask, right? But my code switching mask.
Right.
And the nights and weekends, I would go back to the hood and I would teach free Pilates classes or dance classes.
But that's
right?
one of the mistakes we make. I mean, listen, I understand like you know, you needed to support yourself. So of course you put your mask on, right? You
Right.
teach. And then you'd go and you teach the community. But I think over the years you realize that actually there's a living in your community,
There
right?
was
We
a
make
big
we almost
switch.
make the mistake by saying, well, I'm going to do my studio, and we envision the place on the hill for the beautiful studio, when movement speaks to everyone,
Right.
right?
Right. But I didn't know that at the time, right? So I had this kind of duality that I was living that sooner or later had made me insane. And I was like, I can't do this anymore, right? 2014, 15, 16, 17, when things started getting really hot politically, and people would come into my studio and say really offensive things to me. And I'd have to bite my lip and take a breath because I need to be able to take these resources back into the community. I finally got to the point that my mask was cracking. It was sliding down my face. And it hit me that I had these incredible skills that I was spending all day long getting people out of pain. I was helping people find like new depths of like who they are and stand on their feet and feel empowered and all of this stuff. And I realized that many of these people, if they saw me on the street and they didn't know me, they'd cross the street. So I got to the point, I was like, I'm done. So at that point, I closed the studio in order to go back to the community full time. But during that time period, I was teaching, I was mentoring, I was training students one at a time. There were students that could not afford Pilates certification. So I would just kind of take them in and I'd say, okay, I am going to train you to do this work. So I was doing one person at a time. That's exhausting. It's also very expensive, but this was my way of giving back to the community to educate.
So
one
this is
person at a
just a
time.
part of you, right?
It was just part
Always
of what I
been
was
a part
doing.
of you. Yeah.
Right. And then when 2020 hit and things really hit the fan, right? You and I had already talked about this. I had been talking to Nora about this for years, and she called me and said, talk to me about your community impact work. You've been talking about this for a long time. Why haven't you started this full-blown program? And I was like, resources, manuals.
Yeah.
And she's like, let's have a conversation. And so we had a full-on conversation. There's a lot of trust between me and Balanced Body. We have a very long, very deep relationship of trust, I think. And y'all handed me some keys and said, you're already doing it. Do what you need to do. And I was able to take what I was already doing on a micro level and scale it.
Right.
Right. So I was already doing it. I already had the runway. And then y'all got some wind behind my back. And it was able to blow up into this.
Right. And how many students again?
230.
Fantastic. And how many hours in the community?
Last year, 22,000.
So that's amazing.
Yep.
Hey, talk to me about Nora.
Nora?
I have the privilege of knowing both of you independently and together, but you have a very special relationship with Nora.
Yeah. I say I am follower of Nora. And
Nora
I always
St.
bow
John.
down when I do that. And then I
Which I'm sure would make her blush and tell you.
of course, because she's so modest. And then I always say I want to stick a straw in her her forehead or the side of her head and suck out her brains. And I always do that like imaginary straw every time I talk about her. Nora completely changed my life, right? I was a dancer. I was in a really terrifying dancer transition. You know, that transition is very scary. And I was trying to figure out what my next step was. And I called a bunch of Pilates studios and everybody was very stuck up on the phone. Everything was very dogmatic. This is the way it needs to be done. And lucky me, Nora picked up the phone at her studio and she was so kind and she was so open. And she gave me a path forward. Like, this is how you do it, even though you're still in the middle of your dance career. And she opened up doors for me. You know, I tell these stories about, you know, I was at the first 45-ish Pilates on tour and I was broke. And she said, well, if you can get there, you can take whatever you want. And so I would fly in and sleep underneath the tables in the conference rooms because I couldn't afford a room. And in the morning, they'd start moving the machines around and I'd pop out to help moving the machines. And Al would say, oh my God, she's back. She's like the cat that came back again. And she'd say, okay, go sleep in this person's room. And go remove those machines and go take whatever you want. So she really supported me from the beginning. I did her comprehensive certification 4 times. I did her movement medicine certification many times. And I followed her around the world. And she opened doors for me. She introduced me to all of the primate educators in the world.
Yeah, she's like, I always think she's, you know, Hansel and Gretel used to leave breadcrumbs. Nora would leave little nuggets of opportunity for people to pick up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. She's always been so kind and so loving and so supportive. And any crazy idea I had, she'd say, yep, I think you can do it. Go for it.
Well, she also knows how to see the potential in someone. So during COVID, you know, right after George Floyd, we all had to take a look at ourselves and we're like, what are we doing? And are we doing what we think we're doing? We think we're out there teaching Pilates and we're doing all this great stuff for people, but we're actually, you know,
insular.
We're this tiny little insular world. So like, how do we genuinely open ourselves up?
Yeah.
And Nora reached out to you and that was the beginning of the scholarship program.
Absolutely. And what was so, it was so trust-based. And one of the issues that we have in my community is people from outside the community come in and kind of talk down to us and pat us on our head and tell us what needs to happen. And that never fixes anything, right? Black folks, we have solutions to societal problems, right? Talking, dealing, engaging with people that are closest to the problems is how you solve the problems, not throwing stuff from the outside. And so she heard me, she listened to me, and I said to her, if you could have done this, you already would have done it, right? Hand the keys and let's go. And it was amazing. And this is why the program is so successful.
So Tonya, I remember those early days and I remember thinking and like sort of having the thought like sitting back, I was sitting in my car, I think outside, and I was like, why didn't we see this before? Were there just not enough Black faces in front of us? Was there just not enough? Like I was really like thinking to myself, it's so obvious how insular, but why didn't we see it before? And why didn't we see solution before? And you just said it like we think we can empathize but we're always empathizing from our lens. Right? Mm-hmm. We actually needed to empathize from your lens, from the lens of other Black folk who wanted to be dancers and part of this community. Right. And so it wasn't enough to empathize.
Right. And crisis causes incredible shifts if people's ears and hearts are open. Because I had been having these conversations for 20 years, right? With everybody in the Pilates community.
Yeah.
And I hadn't said anything different in 2020 that I had said in 15
No,
and 10.
You've been completely consistent every step of the way.
All of a sudden, the light bulbs went off, right?
In a really different way. Yeah. For sure. I mean, I really was like, oops. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Who do we want to be?
Right.
I
told Ken, this was back, I don't know, 2017-ish, 16-ish. I said, Ken, I want to start this program. And I said, Pilates can change the world, Ken. Like, we have to get this into the hands of people that it's not in the hands of right now. We can actually uplift, empower, shift communities. We have an incredible set of health disparities in Black and Brown communities in the U.S., which are insane when you look at them. And those of us closest to the problems can actually solve the problems if we have the right skills, if we have the right resources. And he said to me, Tonya, it's just Pilates. I love Pilates. Pilates is great, but I think you're overestimating the power of Pilates. And I said, no, Ken, Pilates is being used in a certain way right now by certain demographics. If we can take the power of Pilates and get it into the hands of people that don't have access right now, this is how we shift the world. And we're seeing it. Right? We're seeing this in communities that are actually healing communities from the inside out, physically, emotionally, financially.
Yeah.
Right? It's powerful stuff.
You and I've talked before. You know, I ran a not-for-profit in New York, and I was up at Mount Sinai, which was right on the border of the Upper East Side and Harlem.
East Harlem.
Right? So I worked with social workers. So, of course, I had a few from the Upper East Side, and they all knew Pilates. Right. But I also had this huge pleasure of meeting women from Harlem who didn't know Pilates from anything,
right,
who didn't understand the value of movement to healing their bodies after surgery. And just the act of introducing them to themselves, to their physical bodies, that the doctors were busy doing whatever it was to do to cure the cancer, but without really consulting them.
Right.
You know, they would say, this is what you're going to do. You're going to have I had a woman who had a lat flap, and she was like, I am a grandmother of 23 children.
Oh, damn.
I didn't need this. I'm done with these. Right.
Wow.
But my point on that was the empowerment people feel from discovering themselves physically is powerful. And Pilates is our way of doing that. And so, yeah, I'm with you. I think the more you could open the door to that, the more opportunity people can see that they can heal. They don't have to run marathons. They don't have to, but that their bodies can carry them through this life, right?
And manage their stress, right? Keep them grounded, keep them focused, give them hope.
Give them hope.
Yeah.
Right?
Give them
hope.
See the transformations.
And so it's spectacular. And so I'm really just it's one of the good byproducts of the unfortunate time during COVID was that coming to the realization of we can do better, but the best way to do better is to give it to people who can authentically take that space.
Right.
And you do that every day. You show up authentically and you say, hello, I'm here to I'm here to do this thing. And we're gonna just take the community and we're gonna inform the community.
Right. And then a community informs us every day.
Yeah.
It's a
How are you informed by your community? And identify your community.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So during the hot part of the pandemic, we closed the studio. Actually, we were lucky. We closed right before. I consciously closed to be able to go back into the community full time. I was like, I'm going to really develop these community programs. And then 2020 happened. So I was already on that path. But when we reopened, what happened is our scholarship students got to a point that there could be no more online learning. They hit that point that they needed access to machines. And if you're talking about people that don't have income at their fingertips, we can't just say, well, go get a reformer and finish training online. That's not going to happen. So I needed to reopen. So what we did is we reopened in downtown Oakland. The studio is gorgeous. It's got purple curtains and 28-foot ceilings. And it's smack in the middle of downtown. And 90% of our programming is free. And I always say, I don't know if this business plan is going to work. It might be right in the car till the wheels fall off. But as of now, it's working.
Fantastic.
Right. And so this community the studio is a power base for the community. It's a place for people to come, be seen, to move their bodies, feel supported, feel safe. We just finished our annual Juneteenth concert, and we're in our 11-week Juneteenth series of classes. And just in the last few weeks, we've had This is all free for the community. Pilates for back and joint pain and chronic illnesses. We have a sound bath this weekend. We had a gentle stretch and a harp where Destiny Muhammad, the harpist from The Hood, played the harp.
Fantastic.
Stretching class. We have 5 free classes a week for elders. A few of them are online and a few of them are in person on reformers, in order to keep our griots, our culture bearers on their feet, right? Our elders, this generation in the Bay Area, they were the Black Panthers, right? They're the ones that actually helped make huge changes in our community. They have all of this information to impart, right? They are even simple things like cooking with love for their grandchildren and passing on cultural stories and passing on tactics of how to make the world better. So it's really important for us to keep our elders on their feet.
You're like the moving version of the old-fashioned like barbershop.
I like it. Okay.
Right? I just always have visions of people coming together and talking, passing on the cultural, like to the next generation, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And so we reopened in downtown Oakland. So it's like the spokes on a wheel. Everything leads through Oakland. Yeah. Right. We've got public transportation. So folks that have a transportation issue can still get there. And then it's a place for our Pilates students, our teacher trainers, to do hands-on mentorships. Right. And so the community expansion students that are all over the country and all over the world, they can watch live classes on Zoom and watch me tactile cue, watch me interact with students. And then the students that are local or the students that just want to fly in and spend some time in the studio, hang out in the studio, take class, watch class. Hey, put your hand right here. Do you see what happens with your shoulder blade when you put your fingertip right there? Right. So it's turned into this incredible, empowering community space. Yeah.
It's like a learning lab.
A learning lab with a social justice lens.
Tonya, how do you do it?
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. And I'm sick. I got long COVID. I have a really sweet, supportive husband that does the cooking, the cleaning, and the driving because...
So you're doing all this. Yes. You're doing all this, right? Think of right after 2020 with long COVID.
It's insane. I do a lot of sleeping. I'm not able to work with many paid client hours because I have to sleep in between clients, and then I have to sleep in between teaching days, and then I have to sleep till the following week. So honestly, I don't know how I'm getting anything done. I can say I'm lucky that I've been doing this for a long time, and this work comes organically to me. If I had to make a bunch of stuff up right now, I would not be able to do it. But because I had a lot of runway, a lot of momentum, and a lot of just experience, whether it's teaching Pilates or mentoring students or doing the community impact social justice work, because I'd already done it for so long, I'm able to keep the ball rolling slowly, even though I'm not feeling well.
You know, when we talk about... we have different ways of talking about some of the communities that you work with. Sometimes we'll say underrepresented, lack access, marginalized, disinvested. I hate the words because the words already seem like othering in a way. So talk to me about the communities that you're building up.
Right.
And what does it mean to provide access? Right. Because everybody can.
Absolutely. There are little tiny ways that you can make an impact without doing a full-on world-changing thing that I'm trying to do. And how can you do that? So first of all, I use phrases like folks from disinvested communities. So it's not the person that's disinvested. It's a deliberate, long-term disinvesting of the community. And so that person is a survivor in that community. We work with children, right? Little tiny people. Our eldest client was 104.
Oh, fantastic.
I've had the great honor and blessing to work with 2 clients all the way through hospice, that I would go to their hospice bed and work with them. We work with pre- and postnatal folks. We work with all kinds of people with injuries, and funny, like once you get sick, you start attracting sick people to you. So a lot of people with chronic illness now. But going back to how do you do this without it having to be a big giant thing, you can make little impacts every day without turning your business upside down. Some things are just changing your marketing, right? To make your marketing welcoming and more inclusive. You're automatically going to attract different type of people into your studio. This seems like a little thing, but having somebody nice at your front desk that can either check their biases or have a slightly different bias, because you would not believe how many times I have walked into a Pilates studio literally all over the world and been treated really horribly. And I'm talking about almost every country that I have been to and in every state. So again, talking about different perspectives, that front desk person might be nice to you, but they're not going to be nice to me, right? So just changing your front desk person can make a big difference. But little things that I used to do is every studio has empty spaces in a class, whether it's a mat class or a machine class. You know that that 5 o'clock class always has that one space. And so what I would do is I would start a list of people from the community that needed some support. And when I saw that spot, whether it was consistently for 6 weeks or just last minute, I would say, hey, I have a spot in a 5 o'clock reformer class. Would you like it tonight? And it's kind of the concept. When I started doing this, there was no ClassPass, but how ClassPass will fill your spots now. Yeah. It's kind of like ClassPass, but for community members, and you're giving back without it hurting you, because that class is happening anyway.
The class is happening. You have the space. And now, so, and you're creating the baby steps to have someone feel seen.
Exactly. Yeah. And having access. Mm-hmm. And it's really important when you do that for the rest of the studio not to know that that person is scholarshiped. Right? That person has to feel safe. They potentially already are going to feel othered in the space. So you don't want to be othered.
Right. You don't want to be like, oh, you know.
You're so cute because you're poor and you're here. Yeah. Like, isn't this nice? We're going to pat you on your head. Right. The other thing is going back into the community. So, do you know an after school program that your kid is part of? Is there an organization that you consistently if there's an organization that when you look at, you're like, I love what they're doing. Can you donate a one-off or a 6-week or an 8-week workshop to that organization? Right. Teaching at the public library, our librarians are exhausted. Our libraries are underfunded. And that's a place for diverse people to go and be safe, to be able to use the internet, unhoused people to be able to use the bathroom, right? Mm-hmm. Putting a class at the public library, librarians will love you. They'll be like, yes, anything you want. And you're able to impact the community that normally would never walk into your studio.
Right. So you do this naturally. I mean, this is part of your DNA. But for someone who's like, oh, I'm running a studio, I've got all these clients. What's the, I want to do something good. I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm trying to, it's like a pay it forward, but what's the value add to someone who will say that?
Well, it's really interesting. One, it just makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel really good.
Can I?
Right?
Elbows.
Elbow bump.
We're bumping elbows.
But what's really cool?
We both have to think about it. We're like, I love you, I trust you, but here's my elbow. Yeah.
But here's the really cool thing about it. You're giving a class away, but here's a perfect example. I taught a class last weekend for the community. It was free. There's no strings attached. This is my way of giving back. 2 of the people that showed up went, actually 3 people. One person said, this is incredible. I can afford this. Can I donate to Grown Women Dance Collective? 2 other people said, this is incredible. I actually have some money stashed. I want to take your 8-week beginner foundation course.
Yes.
And that was not my intention, but this is what happens. You put good things out into the universe and it comes back in. Even if you go into a class in a completely disinvested neighborhood, what happens is you do those 8 weeks, all of a sudden, the pastor's wife with a Gucci bag will say, I want to do 3 privates a week.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. I actually think that we think, oh, well, we're giving away our time and maybe we're giving it away to people who couldn't really afford what we do on a day-to-day basis for a living. And that's an assumption we should not make, number one. And number 2, by showing up, it's amazing what comes back.
It really does. It really does. It is a really special full circle that you don't even expect to happen, and
That's
it
right.
happens.
That's right.
I mean, so many people have paid money to Aspire Pilates Center because I did something in the community for Grown Women Dance Collective. And that wasn't my intention, but that's what happens.
And we do work inside of spaces, generally speaking, that actually long to be part of, or long to do something good. Like we're not the only
Right.
ones. Our clients want to do good.
Right.
All right. So if we are doing something to better other communities and the world, or however we want to position it, our clients actually would support that.
Absolutely.
And they have the ability to do
Absolutely.
that. So we have at our disposal lots of opportunity to go into communities and to do good. We just really have to
Think outside the box.
we have to think outside the box. And quite frankly, we have to be willing to be a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, well, I'm not going to make my fee for that hour and a half. It's going to take me to do that. But you know what? You might see that come back tenfold.
Yep. And how much do we do as business owners that we're doing without a fee anyway? So that is literally 1 hour.
Uh-huh.
You can look at it as marketing. You can look at it as, if you're a religious person, tithing.
Yeah.
Look at it as something that you're just going to do, and your time, your energy, your money will come back to you in another way.
Was there a point in which you made a conscious decision to integrate like your social justice values with Pilates?
Yeah. Yes and no. So again, from the beginning, I was doing the kind of traditional Pilates stuff during the day and then going back to the neighborhood at night. That was a conscious decision. I was exhausted. I was splitting myself in half and I was code switching all day long.
Right.
It made me insane, right? That was conscious, right? I was in Concord. It's not a very diverse community. So in order to get this work deep into communities, I had to do that. Now, part of that is once I went out into the community, I would identify people that could get to the studio and say, hey, if you can get to the studio, I have an 8-week scholarship for you. If you can get to the studio, right? And so that's how we started integrating the studio, by going to the community and inviting people into the studio. So that was conscious. The studio that I reopened in downtown Oakland, that was very conscious.
Right.
Right? If I want to make deep-rooted, hopefully systemic changes on in our community, I need to be rooted in the community. Everything that I do, every breath that I take is about Black liberation. It is about uplifting our communities. It is about passing it forward. It's about making the world better than what it is right now. And I'm not very good at many things. I'm good at dance, and I'm good at Pilates. This is it. I'm really not good at anything else.
I don't believe that. But okay.
I always say if we all just do one thing, we can make the world better. So I always say, if you cut hair, how can you use your hair cutting skills to make the world better, right? If you're a tutor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a nail polish person, right?
Yeah.
So in my case, it's arts, it's Pilates. How do I use these two pieces of me that I'm pretty damn good at to actually make the world better, right? And I'm at this point in my life, in my career, in my age, that if I'm not making a change, I'm really not interested in doing it.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's like I'm at the point now, I'm like, I'm not really afraid of anything. So I'm going in and we're going in for the change. Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode is made possible by Balance Body. If you ever thought, could I make a career out of Pilates? Well, the answer is yes. And Balance Body is a great place to start. Our instructor education supports you from that very first course all the way through advanced specializations with mentors, community, and programs grounded in movement science. Whether you're switching careers or leveling up your teaching, you'll get a clear path forward. Learn more about instructor training and continuing education at pilates.com/learn. Talk to me about Grown Women's Dance Collective.
Yeah. It's really cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So Grown Women Dance Collective, we're retired dancers in our 50s. One of us just made 60.
Woo!
We're all retired from major dance companies, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, Dance Theater of Harlem, Martha Graham, Bill T. Jones. We have about 45 Broadway shows between us. Again, we use arts and wellness for social justice. And we come together. We're all retired. We're grown-ups. I do Pilates. We've got college professors. We've got moms, right? We've got people that do all kinds of stuff, and they fly in. They do this incredible annual Juneteenth concert that's super educational, super impactful. We make this magic, and then they fly home. And in the rest of the year, we're doing the rest of our programs, right? Whether that's our video-based, like our Dance the Vote, partnering with the NAACP, and the rest of the year after everybody's flown home, we're doing the rest of our stuff. So we're like the video components of our art. So our dance on film pieces on whether that's homelessness or Dance the Vote, or we have a piece called Ballad for John Henry that traces the unbroken lineage from slavery to convict labor to mass incarceration. So we're able to do that even though we're in different parts of the country. And then all of our free arts and wellness classes, those happen all year long. And going back to our workforce development, Joyful Movement, and Community Expansion Scholarship Program, that happens all year. During the day, during the night, during the middle of the night.
In your sleep.
Stops.
That happens. Yeah, that
Exactly.
happens. That never stops.
Exactly.
When did you start that?
Grown Women.
Yeah.
So I opened Aspire Pilates Center, my studio, in 2006. And I thought as an artist you could retire. Oh, I'm a dancer, I'm retired. And it got real itchy. And I was like, I need to. And so I started 2009 Grown Women Dance Collective. It was originally started, the Bay Area had lost almost all of our Juneteenth celebrations. The municipalities were not giving permits. They were saying they were, quote, dangerous. So there were almost...
When was this?
2009. There was almost no Juneteenth celebrations. So when I started this concert, I was like, I'm going to do it during Juneteenth because we need Juneteenth celebrations, right? Yeah. We need to come together and have education and family and celebrations and art. So that's how Grown Women originally started. And then from there, I realized, all of these free arts and wellness classes we're doing. Someone said, you better tell people about that because you're doing all this free stuff in the community. You never tell anybody. I was like, oh, yeah, I should probably tell people that. So we had our Juneteenth concert, which was annually. We would do all the free stuff for the rest of the time. And then right before the pandemic, luckily, we closed the studio in order to go back into the community full time. Grown Women Dance Collective used to be arts for social justice. And then Aspire Pilates Center was my wellness piece. So when I shut the studio, I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we kind of wrapped one side of my brain was Pilates and one side of my brain was arts. So Grown Women Dance Collective became arts and wellness for social justice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So Black liberation through art.
And movement.
And right. So Black liberation through art and movement. What does that evolve to? What does that look like 10 years from now?
I am looking out. So we're at 5 years and I'm looking out for another 5 years. So I've got a kind of 10-year, a 20-year, a 30-year plan here. Being very overzealous here. It's like 30 years. That's a long time. But I'm playing the long game here. I'm looking at communities that these disparities are no more. I'm looking at communities that when we talk about Black health disparities, Black maternal health crisis, which is, if you see these numbers, you're like, how is this happening in the United States? I'm looking at a community that goes, that used to be a thing, right?
Right.
I'm looking at communities that are strong, that are healthy, that are vibrant, that are rooted and not displaced by gentrification, right? We are very vulnerable to just be moved around because we don't own property. And so the scholarship programs are a tool to break intergenerational poverty. They're a tool for people to actually have a career that pays well, that they can get themselves out of pain, they can get their friends and family out of pain. They now have a career that they can buy property, they can buy land and dig their feet deeply into their communities and not get blown around like a leaf, right? So I'm looking at healthy, joyous, vibrant, stable, empowered, the ability to think ahead and make decisions and choices and and dream without just barely making it and just barely keeping heads above water. And I really think that Pilates, going back to Ken saying, I think you're
and we
overestimating
could do it with Pilates.
We can.
And we could do it with
Right?
Pilates.
I mean,
yeah.
Pilates teachers in the Bay Area make $120,000 a year.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't. It doesn't suck being a Pilates
it
instructor.
does not.
No.
Right? And many of these people that are going through certification, right, they're making $20,000 a year, right? So if you suddenly have a skill in a field where
Develop
there's more
skills.
jobs than teachers.
What I love about the Pilates, teacher route is you're developing skills, right? Teaching itself is an art.
Yeah.
You're developing the skill to the artistry around teaching, but you have to practice. You have to participate. So in your own body, you learn what you're capable of.
Yep.
And then you share that with others.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm totally with you. That's where Pilates
Absolutely.
can change the world for
Yep.
sure. For sure. What's next for you?
What's next?
#win. What is next?
So right now I'm working on a piece on long COVID. Long COVID is bad. It's bad. People think that the pandemic is over. It is not. People think COVID is a respiratory infection. You can get an asymptomatic infection. You can get a sniffly infection and still get long COVID. Long COVID has over 200 symptoms. They can be absolutely debilitating. They impact children, adults, elders. Long COVID destroys lives. That's actually part of a song that we wrote for my long COVID piece. So right now we're building a multi-chapter piece on long COVID to educate our community about it's bad. And somewhere between 10 and 30% of the population are potentially walking around with long COVID and don't know. Because of the disparities in Black and Brown communities, that percentage is happening and people aren't being diagnosed. So they're walking around thinking there's something wrong with them. There is something wrong with them, but it's not what they think. It's long COVID. Right. So we're building a piece. We're going to do deep partnerships with community health organizations, hopefully governmental officials, to get this information out about how to protect ourselves, to fight for services, because people with long COVID can't qualify for almost anything. So that's one. Two, my goal is to keep mentoring and supporting and helping these, I'm putting this in words, young. They're not necessarily young. Some of our Pilates students are in their 70s that are certifying.
Yeah, I love that.
But helping them get to where they want to get to. So
to see the potential, to feel, to really achieve their opportunity.
Yeah, and they're already doing it.
Yeah.
So the more teachers that we mentor, that we train, that we certify, the more the ripples spread out.
Yeah.
To strengthen, to uplift, to empower our communities. And this is happening, again, locally in the Bay Area, but it's happening nationally and in 12 countries. So my goal is to keep doing this, to keep supporting, to keep giving people a path and watching the magic that they make, because the intersectionality in these programs are incredible. We have people from so many different backgrounds, and they bring their very special, unique brand of expertise back into their communities to make change.
Tonya, Pilates is really growing globally at like this incredible rate. You said, 12 countries. We've got students in the scholarship program for over 12 countries. Yeah. What needs to shift in the way Pilates is taught?
One thing that we're seeing, so Misty Lynn Cawthon and I mentor the students in the scholarship program. And so we're really lucky to see students across many different studios where they're training. And then all of those students have to take classes locally wherever they are. And so we're seeing the kind of quality that's out there where the students are taking. And this has nothing to do with the balanced body. Balanced body training is amazing, but they have to go into studios to take classes. So we're seeing a very wide range of skill level of the teachers that are teaching out there. And some of the students are getting incredible training in studios where they're just dropping to take a reformer class or dropping to take a mat class. And those are great studios. And a lot of them were like, whoa, what is happening in those studios? So I love the fact that Pilates has opened up and become less what I call chichi fonfon. I love it that, quote, regular people have access to Pilates. I would really love the industry to level up as far as some sort of basic baseline safety. Instagram hanging from the safety strap by one knee and barking like a dog and doing the Macarena. I'm like, y'all, can we stop this, please? Because Pilates is so powerful and so it's incredible on its own. You don't have to like bark like a dog from the safety strap. Yeah. So I would love to see some sort of baseline, because the public doesn't know the difference between, I'm putting this in big quotes because it's a loaded word, good Pilates and bad Pilates. I'm going to say safe Pilates and unsafe Pilates, right? And this work can change people. So can we change them for the better versus changing them and then they show up at my studio and now they have a rotator cuff tear or they have a herniation and we have to deal with that. Yeah. The other thing is, I think this is happening little by little, but realizing that there are other people doing Pilates in the world versus what I call the, hello, we're doing Pilates crowd, right? And that means, can we get some good training? Can we get training that is supportive and smart, inclusive of elders, and inclusive and smart, inclusive of different body shapes and sizes, and training that has some sort of cultural humility and cross-culturalism. And I think I have to shout out to Balanced Body. Balanced Body is really leading that charge. The bravery, the compassion, the grounded in humanity that this company is. Yeah, we need more of it. We need the rest of the industry to follow suit. So I love that Pilates is blowing up all over the place. It's incredible. It can change things beautifully, but it also, we've seen, unfortunately, can cause harm, can cause physical harm. It can cause emotional harm. It can cause spiritual harm. And we just need to stop that.
Well, speaking of that, when you say it can cause harm, you've had early experiences where you've walked into Pilates studios and you've been made to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I have been physically manhandled. I have been talked down to.
What do you mean by physically manhandled?
Physically, people have put their hands on me and pushed and pulled and pushed and pulled and insulted my body.
Right, having an expectation that your body's just going to do this thing.
Yeah, I have a round butt.
Yeah.
My butt's not going to do that. And by you telling me I'm not using my core because the shape of my butt, or you trying to get me to put my lower back on the ground when my lower back does not touch the ground, period. I don't care how strong I am, how flexible I am. My lower back ain't going to the ground, right? I've had instructors insult me. I've had instructors, I mean, you name it. And this has happened all over the world, right? And I was strong. I was in shape. I was clearly, quote, in the right place, but I did not fit into the model of what they thought should be in their studio. So they let me know every moment that I was not welcome. From the time I walked in the front door, the time I went to the changing room and everybody grabbed their purses and moved away from me, from the time I walked into the studio, into the main part of the studio and got eye rolls and people moving away from me, from the teacher literally standing over my body, looking down at me and saying rude things and touching me with hate in their hands, right? I've had those experiences all over the U.S. and in every single country that I have traveled to. And in countries that are majority of color, and yet the Pilates studio is all white, and I look like the rest of the country and I'm getting dogged. I'm like, why is there nobody that's the majority in this country in this studio? So we have some work to do.
Yeah, and But those are things that are interesting to me is how do we teach our teachers to listen, to just be more open vessels, if you will.
That's like saying, how do we teach people to be open vessels?
Well, but
Right?
when you talk about some of the magic in
Right.
Pilates, I think one of the beautiful things is we have these teacher training programs
Yeah.
where we always talk about meeting the client where they are. Well, that's every client.
Right. And we say that, but many teachers don't actually do that.
No,
Right?
no.
They say, I'm meeting the client where they are, but then you're looking at what they're doing and they're actually not.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm meeting the client where I think they should be.
Right.
Is that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
what's happening there?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So how do we do a better job of teaching that? And if you were to say, what are some of the skills, the teaching skills, the art, go to the art of teaching. What are some of the teaching skills we should be empowering our new teachers with?
Well, I love, again, shout out to Balanced Body. Y'all are working on doing diversity training, right? Talking about cultural humility, learning how to work with diverse bodies, because most of the world does not look like the traditional Pilates student.
Right.
Right.
Even just teaching people to give license that every shape is unique.
Right.
I want to tell you, I did a training recently,
Yeah.
and I just even started with like, let's just remind ourselves that every single person is unique. So,
Right.
and there was this almost like a collective, like, oh, thank God,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I
Just
love it.
taking just take out these
love
little
it.
threads of,
You're supposed to look like this.
yeah, of the shoulds and the coulds, and
Fantastic.
replace it with like just openness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I stopped you, but we were talking about what
We're
how
saying
do
the
we do
exact
that?
same thing,
Yeah.
right? It's so much of it is on the baseline when we're doing basic education, right? Talking about different bodies, different cultures, different ages, different needs,
Mm-hmm.
different genders,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Even training the lifespan.
I
Right?
love it. Yep.
Like, I mean, what I needed in my 20s and 30s is
Right.
completely different than what
Absolutely.
I need now.
Absolutely.
And I can't be treated the same way.
Absolutely. And what I find is people go through a basic comprehensive training, wherever it is, and they get hopefully good, solid, basic Pilates skills. And then they do that for a while. And then they go, oh, I'm at 5 years or 8 years or 10 years. I need to learn about back pain now. Or I need to learn about seniors, or I need to learn about pregnancy. But they've already been teaching for 5 years or
Right.
10 years.
Right.
And now they're supposedly going to go and integrate all of this new, really important information into a practice that's basically already established.
Mm.
And this is where I'll tell you, I'm spoiled rotten, because by following Nora around on the front end, I was going through this basic certification, but I was also doing her movement medicine, right? I was also studying with Elizabeth Larkham or Marie-José,
Right.
right? Or Eric Franklin, right?
What a lovely period of time to be a student. When I look back on our opportunity that we had with like that beautiful mix.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And all of that goes into
Yeah.
your baseline training, because it's so hard to go back.
Yeah.
And
it's like woven in the
Yeah.
fabric. Yeah.
and people say to me, well, where did you learn that? I'm like,
I'm like, I don't know. I'm a mosaic of a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we had more kind of integration in training from the beginning,
Yeah.
even if people only hear it, then once they're, what we call the baby Pilates teachers, when they're not a baby Pilates teacher anymore and they want to go back and do more, they've at least heard it. It's already a red flag. Oh, when you see this on the table, this could be happening.
Right.
Maybe I should stop and ask somebody.
Right. Like
Right.
maybe even being more inclusive in our the baseline education on all the different possibilities around movement education. Interesting.
Yeah. And the humbleness, the humility that we need when somebody is on our table, that every human body is so unique and so special and so beautiful in its own way. And it's not about this is right or this is wrong, right? I always say that.
Well, but Tonya,
Yeah.
I think when we started, that might have been part of what started sort of that marginalization in a way, was was the right and the wrong of it, right? Like just that alone is huge, changing that mindset.
I always say there's no right and wrong as long as you don't hurt that client.
Yeah.
There's no right and wrong as long as you're holding space and being kind to that person.
That's right. That's right.
Right. But there is this very black, very white, and there's nothing in between. If it's not this and it's not this, it's wrong. And I'm like, well, maybe, but what about this client or this client or at this angle? And I think with what we call baby Pilates teachers, very often people are like, this is the way it is. And I'm smart and I know everything. And I'm telling you, the older I get, I'm like, I don't know nothing about the human body.
I know. Like, the more you know, the more it's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love, like, what was it, 10 years ago when they were like, there's this new thing in the body. It's called fascia. and I'm like, okay, well, actually, people have been talking about this in lots of different ways for a very long time. But if we could say there's something, like if in the year 2020 or 2015, we're suddenly saying, oh my God, we've discovered something new. Like, to me, that just lends itself to the fascination of the human body and of movement and all the potential that we have. We're never going to figure this out.
Nope. And if you think you have it figured out,
you're wrong.
You're wrong. Like you stopped learning.
Right. And you've stopped looking and listening, right? Like the beautiful thing about movement is you've got to stay curious, because just when you think you know it, it's like, oh.
Never mind. There's a whole nother layer there that I had no idea.
For 10 years, I've been cueing, and maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. But that's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
And I think, like, even just being open to that learning process, not being so, right, wrong, yes, no.
That's that openness you're talking about.
Yeah.
Being open to the learning process and being open to not knowing. It's okay to not know.
It's okay to not know.
Right.
And to ask questions, because that's how everybody learns.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Read a book. Who's your mentor? Who can you call? And be like, I'm totally lost. What am I looking at here?
Right. Isn't that's brilliant. And if we all practice that way, then inclusion it becomes part of the recipe, right? It just happens naturally. We're giving license for everybody's individual experience and body and butts and breasts, and
I love it. And that's going back to the humility piece and the humbleness.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have to stand there and be the smartest person in the room. It's like you can stand there and be like, I don't have any idea what's happening right now.
Let's figure this out together. Yeah. That and what does that do? That brings people into the conversation. Tonya, what's your favorite Pilates exercise and why? Rapid fire questions.
All right, I have two.
Don't think too much about it.
One is leg circles. I think that's the exercise that makes every dancer go, I need to go get certified in Pilates. It just feels so yummy. Damn, a leg circle. And the other one is parakeet.
Oh, parakeet.
I love parakeet.
That's a winner.
It's just like this whole body exercise, and it feels like
it flows.
And it's like you're dancing upside down, and it uses like
it's
every
like you're dancing
millimeter
upside
of your
down.
body.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What's your least favorite Pilates exercise and why?
I hate teaser on the reformer. That exercise scares the hell out of me. And I know at this point in my career, I shouldn't be, but that exercise.
And every single time, it's like the first time.
No, for real. And I have people go, are you kidding? I can do that. I'm like, yeah, me too, but it doesn't mean I want to do it. That exercise scares the hell out of me. It always has.
If you were to define Pilates, what's your definition of Pilates?
Strength, flexibility, balance, focus, community, power, hope, connection, possibility.
Fantastic. Where do you see Pilates going in the future? Where's your Pilates in the future?
I think if Pilates can go anywhere we want it to go. I think Pilates is as special and unique as every single person teaching it, and special and unique as every single person practicing it. And the more folks from every possible background doing this work, it just becomes richer. It becomes deeper. I always talk about the fabric the threads, the richness of the fabric that we build when we bring in diverse voices, and with people from every background, every intersection, it just goes to this beautiful place that we don't even have any idea. Like, we've just scratched the surface. If we've had, quote, certain type of people doing Pilates for the last however many years, and now the doors are opening to people that had never even heard of it or had no access to it. I don't think we have any idea where it can go.
Right.
I know it's going to make the world better. I know it's already making the world better. And I think that the sky is the limit, but we don't even know until we continue down this path. And this next generation of teachers coming up, and the generation after that, and next generation after that, they're going to change everything. And I don't even think we can imagine the power that it's going to bring down the line.
That's fantastic. Tonya, what do you hope for the larger Pilates community?
So it's a little loaded question for me, because I always say I have no idea what's happening in the Pilates community right now, because I'm so entrenched in trying to make the world better with this. And I'm a terrible social media person. So people are like, oh, did you see such and such? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I am literally in the hood trying to make things better right now. Okay. But I will say this. I am hoping that the Pilates community continues to grow and be curious. I hope that we continue to, I'm going to say, reclaim some of the humility, reclaim some of the humbleness. I hope that we continue, it's been baby steps, to recognize that there's power in diversity, that things get better when we have many people, backgrounds, ideas at the table.
Voices, yeah.
More voices. And I hope that we don't slide into this strange social media world, and we continue to try to embrace excellence. And excellence can mean all kinds of things, but it doesn't mean for settling. It doesn't mean for flash. It means reaching for the stars in whatever way we can. And again, going back to the diversity piece, if we have all of these different intersections at the table, that's all kinds of stars we're reaching for.
Wow. Always. Every time I talk to you, I'm always, wow. Tonya, a lot of change happened after COVID started. George Floyd really sort of just really made us all ask, what are we doing and how are we doing it? And is this the best we can do? And today there's been just really sort of a remarkable, like, turn on the heels and going back in the other direction around all forms of DEI initiatives. In light of that, how do we just keep doing better?
I think we center the folks that are the closest to the problems, because the reality is Black and Brown communities have been subject to these assaults for hundreds of years, right? And we've been yelling into a vacuum for hundreds of years. And we've had some inflection points, right? In the 60s, people were like, oh, wow, wait, they're yelling. Oh my God, that's really bad. How can we make this better, right? Then Rodney King, we had another inflection point. We'd been yelling and, oh my God, that's bad. How do we make this better, right? So about every 20-ish years, we have an inflection point. And in 2020, we had a big giant one. And it was magnified because of the pandemic, and people weren't working, and people were able to pay attention and go into the streets and all of the really important stuff that happened. So the reality is, this is a continuum. This is a continuum that generation after generation after generation has been dealing with, that has been fingernail holding on and learning how to succeed in despite, right? And there are people that are legit surprised right now. I'm sorry, you talk to most Black folks, we're not surprised. Because this is the stuff we've been saying for a long time, right? The beautiful thing is people from the mainstream are seeing it. And when people from the mainstream see it, if they're able to use their voices, their energy, their voting block, right? This is how we make change. But we must listen to the people that are closest to the problems because we actually have the solutions. We actually know what's happening and how to fix them, but we need some wind behind us. My dad has always said that the job is to leave the community better for the next generation.
Right.
And then when things started getting really bad a handful of years ago, I said, Dad, he grew up in Jim Crow South. He's like, we're reversing. Like, how do we deal with this? And he said, baby, every generation has to just get a little bit farther. So you do 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back. But at the end of the generation, if that generation is farther ahead, then we did our job. So it's our job, those of us that are here right now, we are standing on our ancestors' shoulders, right? Everything of who we are is because of their sacrifices, their hard work, their hopes, their dreams, their passion, their compassion. Now it's our turn. And we have to keep taking a step forward. So whatever is happening in the world, whatever madness is happening, we have to keep
falling forward, as Ken says.
Keep falling forward.
Ken is really funny. He's like, we're going to fall forward.
Fall forward, right? Follow the drinking gourd, right? There's the North Star. You keep moving towards it.
Yeah.
You know, Harriet Tubman talks about, you hear the dogs, keep running. You hear the shotguns, keep running. Your feet are bleeding, keep running.
Yeah.
You keep running. You might have to stop, take a breath, but you keep running. I love it. Fall forward.
Yeah.
Whatever madness is happening, you do you. You keep taking those baby steps. You do your best to protect the community. We have folks in the community that are being torn apart. How do folks use their privilege to protect our communities, to protect our neighbors, to stand in solidarity with folks that are more vulnerable? And we just keep making steps forward, hoping that if we've all done one thing, if we've all done that part that we can do, that this next generation is 1 step farther than we are now.
You know, I just want to thank you, Tonya. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for having this conversation. I know this is going to sound, no matter what words I could use to describe you, they all sort of sound like they fall flat. But you're probably one of the bravest, most authentic humans I have ever met. And when you say, if we all do one thing to leave the communities we're in and communities that we can support and help and grow, that communities that we can meet with openness and compassion, and if we can do that and do one thing, that's great. But somehow you do 100 things. And I know I'm just really so grateful to you. Every conversation I learn, every time your name is mentioned, I smile. Like you're just such a unique, authentic, brave human. And I'm just so grateful that you chose to join us here today. We are only scratching the surface of the many ways in which you contribute, and you open your heart and your mind, and you give your gifts. And so I just really want to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy.
All right. So that is Tonya Amos, everyone. And what a fantastic hour. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joy. Thank you.